Hello and welcome everyone to Wine for the Holidays. My name is Scott Wadlow. I'm the reference librarian here at the Florence branch of the Boone County Public Library. But you are not here to listen to me rambling on because my taste in wine is largely terrible because I choose it off of the name and picture. Your presenter tonight is Wanda Haynes, a certified wine expert and the host of Wine with Wanda on WCTV. And with that, I will turn things over to her.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. I sure was excited to be here with you all this evening. Can everybody hear me and see me all right? Terrific. So we're heading toward the holidays. So everybody, what happened to the year? I looked up and it was January. Now it's like almost Thanksgiving Day. It just whizzed by. Does anybody else feel that way? My goodness. It's been an unusual year for the U.S., but we're heading toward the end of the year, and the new year is going to be even better. I'm a very hopeful, positive person about a lot of things, including wine. So one of the things we talked about in depth last class, and I hope there are some of the same people that were here last time, we went into wine etiquette. Does anybody have any questions about wine etiquette before we move forward? Okay. Well, I want to show you a glass since we're headed toward the holidays. We can go a little fancier with some of our talk and some of our dialogue. So having a glass that is fully colored is probably not a good idea. You can't see the color of the wine, can you? If you have a cobalt blue glass or a green glass or glass with frosty on it, those are pretty and they're fun in and of themselves, but you can't see the color of the wine in them. Now, if you're having a white wine, it may not be that big a deal, but a red wine, you need to be able to understand the color of that wine, right? So I have a very nice glass I'd like to show you. This is a white wine glass, and obviously it's just bottled water inside. And it is from a company called Joy Jolt, Joyjolt. They provide all of my glasses and stemware for my brand. This one is called the Black Swan Collection. Take a listen. It's hand-blown lead-free crystal, and they're stunning. Now, the secret about this glass is you can see the entire water in the glass, but that's not how this glass looks when there's nothing in it. This is what it looks like empty. Do you see how it looks empty? This is what it looks like when it's empty. It looks like over here when it's empty. You can see the black swan formation. Isn't that interesting? But when you put a liquid in it, you only see the dark part on the bottom when it doesn't matter. You can still see your wine. Isn't that interesting? I find that incredible. So if you're getting a wine glass and you want to be pretty and festive for the holidays, keep in mind that you should be able to see the wine in the glass to gauge its color. And if you remember from last time, we had it against a snow white background. I had a paper towel, but gosh. So you put it up against a snow white background, and then you can gauge the color of a red wine. Okay, so again, this is hand-blown crystal. The ounce is probably about, I think this is an 18-ounce glass, which holds quite a bit of wine. And they are sturdy, even though they're hand-blown. So if you're looking for a great gift, consider something hand-blown crystal as a gift for someone who loves wine, growing in wine, has tons of wine. Anybody have any questions before we move forward about wine etiquette? Okay, so let's talk about Thanksgiving. I love Thanksgiving because I have a lot to be thankful for. I bet all of you do too. There are so many things that are going on in my life that I'm so grateful for. Very basic things like electricity, internet, and all the fine things that I have been able to do and people that I've been able to meet and influence and enjoy. So Thanksgiving is a very big deal for me. Now, I don't eat red meat. If you were with us last time, you'll know that. It's just for health reasons, not for anything political. I don't want the cholesterol and the food's too heavy. And I'm a curvy girl, so I'm always watching my caloric intake. So I do not consume red meat, but I do love turkey. There are about as many turkey recipes as there are American citizens or Kentuckians. There are so many ways to cook a turkey. I love watching those people deep fry those birds. That's amazing to me that you all are willing to do that. They are very moist, they're very flavorful, and I do love them. I'm just not willing to be able to do that. Anyone do that? Does anyone plan on doing that at all? Like making an actual turkey in that peanut oil? Any of you at all? Okay, so if you're having a classic turkey, whether it's fried or roasted the way I do it, or just a turkey breast or just turkey parts, or maybe you're not into the whole turkey, maybe the pricing isn't quite right, all the trouble to prepare it and bake it isn't quite right, you're having a good old-fashioned $7 roasting hen, just an old-fashioned chicken. Either way, if you're having a fowl like that, Chardonnay. Chardonnay is a beautiful wine, perfect in every way to pair with roasted, fried chicken, roasted, fried, fricasseed, however you make your turkey. A Chardonnay is perfect for that. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh my gosh, Wanda, there's so many Chardonnays on the market. There are too many. They're not all created equal. Let's talk about them for a little bit. Then I'll open up for some questions. The first one, Chardonnay I want to talk about is the one that is unoaked. It has never been in an oak barrel. It's only been in a stainless steel barrel. It's sharper, more acidity. The color is paler, and you taste pineapple right off the get-go. Green apple, a little bit of lemon zest, Meyer lemon on the backdrop. They're lovely. It's the most consumed wine in the world, actually, is that Chardonnay. They can range from $10 up to, maybe a few hundred if you're going with some of the very high-end white burgundies, which is a Chardonnay. You can go quite high with them. We're going to talk about the ones that are under $20 today. So an unoaked Chardonnay has not been in an oak barrel. There are several brands. I have one here. I may have showed to you before. This is one called Avega Sendoa, and it's absolutely delicious, and it costs $10 for the bottle. You live in Kentucky. I don't know what you have there, but this is pretty easily found. I believe that it is from Spain. It is so delicious. That pineapple comes right off at you. It is very nice to pair with turkey. Okay, so there are several on the market, everybody. You'll have to look at the back of the label or go on Google and see if you can find out if it's oaked or unoaked, or you can also email me and I'd be happy to tell you if it's oaked or unoaked, okay? Then there is the organic version of a Chardonnay, which means that it's not treated with pesticides, no sulfates. Well, I will tell you, if you purchase a wine with no sulfates in it, you're going to have to drink it in probably about a day or two. They do not keep as well. They don't have preservatives. So this is one called Santa Julia. I believe this one is from Argentina, and it is a complete organic wine. There are lots of them on the market. Don't get hung up on the brand. There are lots of them on the market. I can taste this and tell it has been in oak briefly. That could mean a couple of months, a few weeks. You don't know, and I don't know either. But it's either partially oaked and then put in and finished in the stainless steel. What that does is give it a little bit of a caramel taste, a little bit of vanilla, just a bit, but it does not have the sharpness as it would have if it had only been in a steel tank, okay? Then we have what's known as a Chardonnay that would have been put in a neutral barrel. A neutral barrel means that the barrel has already been used to make another wine, to produce another wine. The wine was emptied and bottled. Now you have this cask, this barrel that doesn't have all the same yumminess that it had before it was used, but it has a little bit of it. Then it's called a neutral barrel because these barrels are very expensive. They cost thousands of dollars. So the wine maker, the winery is trying to get every use out of that barrel that they possibly can, sustainability. So this particular barrel is called a neutral barrel. A Chardonnay can be introduced to that as well. Now it's just slightly butterscotchy, slightly creamy, a little bit of a smoother mouthfeel, but nothing like a new barrel. Does that make sense to everybody? So there are variations of a Chardonnay. It's a single varietal. It's just one grape. They're beautiful. They're dry, white wines, and they are delicious with turkey, your chicken, absolutely. Any questions on a Chardonnay so far? Okay, there are lots of brands out there. Hess, Hess, makes several. The one with the green label, if it's still the green label, has been put in a new oak barrel for a spell. Then it has been put into stainless and finished that way, so it's partially oak. And I do like the blend of that, the mix of that. Hess does make a very nice Chardonnay. Miami makes a Chardonnay. There are lots of brands out there. Here's another one. This is actually something I'm going to be having. It's unopened. This is something I'm going to be having for my Thanksgiving Day meal, along with something else. This is a Chardonnay from France, and it is a Grand Estate from Le Pasteau. This wine is around $15 if you catch it on sale. It makes an excellent gift. It has a twist-off cap, as you see, and the year doesn't so much matter with the wine, but it is a 2018, I believe, for this bottle. This wine is that beautiful green apple, pineapple taste with just a tiny, tiny bit of maybe white pepper in it. And it has just enough spice to go with that family heirloom gravy recipe that you all are holding secret. It definitely can cut through that buttery, heavily prepared gravy that accompanies our turkey on Thanksgiving Day. And I will tell you something else that a Chardonnay does really well. It works well with a cranberry sauce. I love cranberry sauce. I like it when it's got a little bit of orange rind in it or a little bit of orange juice to marry with it. But this a Chardonnay does really well with a relish, a cranberry relish dish. Any questions so far? Anybody before we move on? All right, then. So another wine, because it's a very light red wine, dry red wine, it is a Pinot Noir. I have a friend in California who's sommelier, and she's Pinot Noir. I love that, right? That is the correct pronunciation for it because it is from France. It's Pinot Noir. So the Pinot Noir, do I have a question in the chat?
We just had an extra person join.
I'm sorry?
We had another person join us.
Oh, okay, terrific. So Pinot Noir is a light red wine that's light enough to pair with a turkey or a roasted chicken, especially if you've greased up the top with, a clarified butter like that. Let's talk about Pinot Noir. It's probably one of the lightest red wines that there is, and they are known for being elegant. We're going to talk about the ones from Oregon. There are others from other countries and other states. California certainly makes one. I do not prefer them over the ones from Oregon, even slightly. France makes a beautiful one. They're lovely. I do love the ones from France, but I'll be honest with you, the ones from Oregon, and I don't drink a lot of domestic wine. I mainly drink international wines, old world wines, but I will tell you, I love the Oregon Pinot Noirs. They are really second to none. They're somewhat affordable. I'll show you a few that are very affordable. One that is affordable is called Pike Road. They also make a beautiful Chardonnay. Pike Road, Pike Road, is from the Willamette Valley of Oregon. The Willamette Valley in Oregon is about 156 stretch of territory, and they produce some of the finest Pinot Noirs ever. But Pike Road makes a Chardonnay, a Rosé, and a Pinot Noir, and I think they're only around $20, $25 per bottle. They make beautiful gifts. Here's something interesting that I want to show you. I will have to go on record and say this is the finest Oregon Pinot Noir that I've ever drank. Right? That's a very big statement considering how many Pinot Noirs that I try throughout a year. It is from a company called Bethel Heights. Bethel Heights Estate in the Willamette Valley of Oregon. This is a half bottle. Here it is. It's hard to read, everybody, but it's called Bethel Heights, and it's spelled Bethl, Heights, Bethel Heights. And it's Pinot Noir. This is a 2016. And so something struck me when I ordered this wine, and I had a little trouble getting this wine. I purchased it from wine.com. You can call the company at Bethel Heights in Willamette Valley, Oregon, to see if they still have it. They'll ship it to you more than likely. I don't know Kentucky rules like I do Ohio, but I'm sure they'll ship it to you. You will pay a charge to have it shipped to you from FedEx, but it's the holidays, guys. We're already spending money, aren't we? But I bet some of you already have some bills coming in now. But this is called Bethel Heights, and it is definitely the finest Pinot Noir that I've had the entire year and last year. So isn't this interesting? It's 2016, and you know, I'm always telling everybody to put some age on your red wines. You're not looking for a 2019, 2020 Pinot Noir. It isn't going to have the same style, the same elegance, refinement, or taste that one that has a couple years age on it. You've got to let the wine age a little bit, let it mature, just like a child, just like us that are a certain age, and you know what age that is. We need to mature before we can offer up our best. That's the same thing with the wine. So it has a twist off cap, right? I was really shocked at that. So when it arrived, I thought, excuse me, it's a 2016. What if I want to cellar it and age it a little bit more? So I was very perplexed about that. And here's the thing, everybody, you're welcome to call these wine companies. They are very nice, I would say, for the most part. They're happy that you call to answer your questions and give you further education on everything that they make and about wine in general. Don't hesitate to go on Google or find it on the bottle and give them a call and ask some questions. There's nothing wrong with that. So I said, ma'am, tell me why this has a twist off cap. Maybe I want to sell it or age it for a couple more years. And maybe, you know, she said, well, their data has shown them over the years that people that buy half bottles of wine aren't looking to age that half bottle. They consume them within 30 days or less. Oh, I learned something myself that day. She was lovely. She was very pleasant. She was a customer service in the US. So she was correct. I proved their data correct because I purchased this wine. It arrived in a couple of days and I drank it in a couple of days. And I'm going to be ordering at least a couple more, maybe as a gift and for myself. This is a stunning Pinot Noir. Tastes like cranberries and a little bit of black pepper, cedar, currant. It is absolutely lovely, and it will be beautiful on your table with a roasted turkey, no matter how you cook the turkey, whether it's, you know, chicken and dumplings or roasted turkey. Those of you who are wild and fry those turkeys, this is a beautiful addition to your holiday table from Bethel Heights. It does come in a full bottle, but if you can't find in a full bottle, do yourself a favor, just get a few of the smaller ones. But this half bottle was around $18, $20 with tax, I believe. So FYI. And I have another one here. This is this is empty. I drink it. This is from Willa Kinsey Estate, a Pinot Noir. And I believe this one is a 2017, and it is from the Willamette Valley of Oregon as well. Can you all see that okay? All right. So consider a Pinot Noir for your holiday meal. It also goes, Pinot Noir also pairs beautifully with a salmon or a halibut if you're looking to do a seafood, a fish application. So yeah, any questions, anybody, about the Pinot Noir? So the half bottle, if you're not looking to have people drink too much at your house, and be careful with that. Some people don't know when to stop drinking, especially when it's your alcohol. A half bottle will actually control that because it only has about 2.5 glasses of wine. Once that half bottle is gone and you're tired of that person drinking up your alcohol and gossiping and getting a little too riled up, then the drinking's over. Pretty much not going to be drunk on a glass of wine. I'm not saying for sure, but I know that most people aren't. So that's the benefit of having a half bottle, and they're everywhere, the half bottles. You all must have seen them by now. And like I said, from our first class, a lot of that is because we're not entertaining as much as we used to. Finances for some people are of an issue. And we're just not, entertaining in that way anymore. So, and we're having smaller gatherings, and please be careful, everybody, please be careful. So the smaller bottles have been really immensely popular. For me, quite frankly, I love the smaller bottles. I will tell you now that I have no trouble drinking a full bottle of wine, no problem at all. But sometimes I don't wish to, and I just have a half bottle and I'm satisfied with that. So anyway, you'll be seeing more of those. Any questions so far about the Pinot Noir, the Chardonnay? We'll move forward. Maybe some of you are having ham. I know when I was growing up as a girl here in Ohio, I we would have ham. Ham is either sweet or it's a salty version, like a picnic ham. The sweet ham is that spiral honey glazed ham. They're really beautiful to look at. I don't eat them anymore, but I do still enjoy the taste of them. Well, they pair beautifully with rosés. The savory version, like that picnic ham or that, that salty version, that's beautiful with a Zinfandel. A Zinfandel is a dry, light to medium bodied red wine. The best ones are from Lodi, California. They've just excelled at them. They've excelled at them. Lots of companies make them. There's one called Seven Deadly Zins, Z-I-N-S. I think it's from Michael David, the Michael David Wine Company. Michael and David, they're brothers. They started that wine company. I don't know if they still own it, but they did start it. It's from California. I would say everything that Michael David makes is delicious. You can pretty much just go up there blindfolded. Like the host said, Kevin says he picks wine by the way they look. Well, let me tell you, Kevin, if you see some of the wines from Michael David, you'll pick them all. Their labels are really well done, lots of color, very stylish.
Vins for that very reason.
I'm sorry, repeat that, Kevin.
Oh, I have had 7 Deadly Zins for that very reason. I like.
Oh, he's proving me right. Isn't he adorable? That's funny, Kevin. Yeah, their labels are well done. And I'm someone who actually does judge a label. It doesn't always reflect the taste. Obviously, we know the label is not that. But it does go into the buying power and the selling power of that product. But like Kevin was saying, our host, the Zinfandels are really nice with a salty ham. Maybe you're just serving the slices, you're not buying the whole ham. Either way, it does go well with the salty ham. And the spiral ham with that glaze, some people are using something called a 7-Up glaze. Are you all hip to that? Where it's a little bit of brown sugar, maybe some maraschino cherry juice and 7-Up, and they pour it over the ham. That sounds wild, doesn't it? That will really be nice with a rosé. Now I'm going to show you a sparkling rosé. This is from France. I've had this for a while. I'm not sure why I haven't opened it. I have quite a bit of wine. I just haven't gotten to it yet. Is this bottle gorgeous or what? Kevin, take a look at this if you like pretty bottles. This is from France, and it is a dry, sparkling rosé, and it will be amazing with ham, sweet or salty, savory or sweet. You can see the label, that beautiful pink. Isn't that pretty? It's just a stunningly beautiful bottle. So this wine is Faire Lafite. It's Faire Lafite. It is from France, and it's made in the method traditional. If you were in my last class, we talked about the method traditional is the classic way that champagne is made. So this is not a champagne, and we can't call it that legally or intellectually. If it's not a champagne, let's not call it that. Call it what it is. This is a Cremant, a sparkling wine that is from France, but not the Champagne region of France. It's called a Cremant. The T is silent. And I tell you, this makes a stunning gift. I've had this for a couple of years, I believe. I don't have my wines as organized as I really should have them. But I believe this one is a couple of years old, and it is stored just like this. It's stored on its side, okay? So it's a rosé Cremant. It's dry, and it will be very, very nice with a ham application. Okay, now let's talk about how to open this bottle. Does anyone know how to open up a bottle of champagne or sparkling? Okay, let's go over it. So the first thing you want to do is take this foil off. The reason these bottles started out with having foil on them is because some very unpleasant vermin, and you know which vermin I'm talking about, would scurry up this thing and nibble at that cork. Yuck, right? So they have to stop that from happening. Wine has a long history of trial and error and necessity, mother of invention. So the foil started being put on to stop those little yucky things from nibbling at the cork, right? Well, not so much now. It's just beautiful, and it helps with the branding. But you remove the foil. It has a cage. That's called a wire cage. You can see the indentation of it right there, if you're able to see that. It's usually 5.5 turns, no matter how large your hand is, male or female, young or old. It's 5.5 turns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. Lift the cage off. Now you have the cork. And let me tell you, I would only imagine what it took to put that cork in that little tiny hole, you know. So you're going to put it on your hip, everybody. And you're not going to turn the cork. You're going to turn the bottle. The bottle is turned. You're holding on to that cork. The bottle is turned and turned. You're going to hear it pull up. You're going to hear that a sigh. You're going to feel it coming up. I know this sounds backward and crazy. Then you hold it down. Don't let it fly off into the atmosphere, putting people's eyes out, knocking grandma off her rocker. And, you know, you're going to want to hold it down. Okay. Keep turning. When you hear it pulling up, it should come right off in your hand. Okay. So that's the correct way to open a sparkling wine. But anyway, yeah, that would work really nice. Any questions so far, everybody?
So far, we just have one person agreeing that Seven Deadly Sins is good.
It's a very nice wine. That company makes everything well. There is something called Freak Show. It's a blend. I don't really suggest a lot of blends for people who don't know wine very well, but it's called Freak Show and it's outrageous. There's also a bottle, you really like this, Kevin. There's a circus on the label of a Michael David wine. I believe it's a Syrah and it's a lot of fun. It's a really nice wine. If you get one of those for red meat, make sure you let it breathe and let it open.
I think I had a Cab Freak Show fairly recent. Actually, it was pretty good. And yeah, I did pick it up because of the label.
Oh, that's wild. So another wine that will pair with your turkeys very well, I almost forgot to show you, it's called a Blanc de Blanc. So the term Blanc de Blanc is saying white from white. That means it's a white wine made from white grapes. I would say 90% of the time, it's always a Chardonnay. Here's one that I have here. I've had this for a while. I have not opened it. As you can see, it's stunningly beautiful. This wine is from Courtage in France. It is from France. It is not a champagne, but it is made in Champenoise method traditional style. Okay, and here it is. Also, check the backs of your labels. See who the importer was, okay? When you see who the importer was, you can see what they import and try their portfolio. They did all the work for you. Anyway, this is Blanc de Blanc. This is a sparkling white wine, a Cremant from France that is made of Chardonnay. Right. This one is 100% Chardonnay. I'm about 99.9% sure. It would be opened in the exact same way that a champagne would be opened. The bubbles won't last, everybody. This is not a wine that you open and then 2 days later you go to and think you're going to be drinking the same wine. You're not. Don't be unreasonable like that. You can't expect that. If you open it at 2 o'clock, have it gone by 4:30. Have some people over or buy an apparatus, but drink it. It will not be the same wine around 7, 8, 9 o'clock that night. The bubbles have already dissipated. The minute you open this, the bubbles already start dissipating and leaving. And the product already starts, disintegrating, for a lack of a better word. But this is a Blanc de Blanc. I suggest you try this. I've had this wine, I believe, since 2019, before the pandemic, but I will say I'm going to be opening this on Thanksgiving as well, because I love a Blanc de Blanc with roasted turkey, gravy, mashed potatoes, that green bean casserole with that earthy taste of those mushrooms and that heavy butter in application in the dish. But this is definitely going to be a part of my Thanksgiving, the Blanc de Blancs. This is a beautiful wine. I'm more than sure it was around $17, $18. The cost may have gone up $1 or $2 since I've had it for a little while, but I don't think it's more than $20, $22. If you find this wine, don't bother to buy just one. Get another one. It's marvelous. I had an email from someone who didn't want to ask that question in the chat. It was asking me about a Grenache. So let me answer that before I forget and move on and don't answer the question. A Grenache is a dry red wine. They're beautiful. The ones from Spain are exceptional. It's a full-bodied red wine. They're delicious. They taste of cedar. They taste of blackberry, dried blueberry type application, smoke, leather. They're delicious. Yes, they are. They're better with a little age on them, just like any red wine would be. So if you see one that's 2016, 2017, go for it and open and drink it. Let it breathe. If it's younger than that, I don't know. But they pair well with any type of heavy red meat application. especially those of you who hunt and have venison on the table this holiday season. Absolutely. You can even maybe put a little bit in the marinade for the venison. If you're spending the money and having prime rib with that beautiful herb crust and kosher salt crust on top, a grenache would be beautiful with that. You bet it. It would be steak if you're having steak, untraditional meal. Everyone's not having turkey. If you're having a beautiful steak, you've put the money out for that. A grenache would be beautiful with that. So before I forget, but also let me tell the person who asked that question this, there is a white grenache. I've only had a few because they're not easily found, but whoa, and wow, are they delicious. Oh my gosh, I can't even stand to talk about how good they are. They are delicious. They are made without the skin, seeds, and stems. Again, we talked about this before. That's the white wine just doesn't have those things in it, but it's very, very nice. It has a medium to full weight to it on the palate. They taste a lot like a grilled peaches and roasted white fruits like that. So if you find a white grenache, don't bother to buy one. Get 2, 3, or as many as you can afford. They're amazing. So there is a white grenache, and it tastes really delicious with like a white Texas bean chili. You know what I'm talking about? It's delicious if you're a vegetarian and eat things like navy beans and cornbread, or you have black-eyed peas and maybe cornbread, or just a vegetarian dish, or if you have like a hummus. Those of you who love hummus and like I had some for dinner last night. I had hummus and naan, or any type of Middle Eastern type bread. A white grenache is super yummy with that. Look at, see if that's your appetizer for the Thanksgiving Day meal. That's a beautiful, beautiful wine to have with that. Do we have any questions so far as I move forward in our conversation?
No questions, just a comment. The effervescence of sparkling wines makes everything better. Which
Yeah, it sure does. I
hard to
love
disagree with
sparkling
that.
wine. Yeah, whoever said that, I totally agree with you. So let's say those are having red meat. Like we said, if you hunt, you're having venison, or maybe your relative or friend gave you some, and you're having it on the table. Maybe you're having more than one meat for Thanksgiving or Christmas. I get that. Or Hanukkah or whatever you're celebrating. Terrific. The more food, the better, especially if you're having guests or have a lot of children or grandchildren. It's good to have the variety. I agree. Venison, meatloaf. Let's not forget about meatloaf, everybody. Meatloaf is certainly a beautiful dish to have at Thanksgiving or Christmas. Most of us grew up on some form of meatloaf, didn't we? I certainly did. So meatloaf is a lovely dish to have. You don't have to spend a lot of money on a holiday to enjoy it. I think we get ourselves into a lot of trouble when we start thinking like that and actually can't afford those things. Don't break the budget. That's where you are. Meatloafs are delicious. They're one of the best leftover dishes I know of. A meatloaf sandwich the day after is incredible with just a little ribbon of ketchup smeared across it, right? But if you're having meatloaf, or again, you're spending the money and having a prime rib with that beautiful crust with the rosemary and the kosher salt and the cracked black pepper, awesome. Let's talk about a red wine for that. Let's talk about a Cabernet Sauvignon. They're one of the finest grapes out there. They do harvest late. They're very prized, and when they're did right, they're amazing. When they're done slightly right, they're amazing. But when they're really, really cheap and really, really young, they're not so amazing. So do yourself a favor. Don't do it, guys. If you're looking on the shelf, and let's say you have a small budget, I get a small budget, and you're looking on the shelf and you see an $8 2019 Cabernet Sauvignon, leave it on the shelf. Don't bother. You're not getting a true representation of that wine, nowhere near. First of all, it's too young and it's too cheap. So the manufacturer of that wine had to skip a lot of corners to get you that wine at $765 per bottle. It's not going to be worth it. I have a Cabernet Sauvignon I want to show you all. This is a 2015. It is from Chile. They have beautiful values on red wines like Cabernet Sauvignon from Chile and Spain. Don't overlook these countries. They're known for making wines. They're a lot older than the U.S. and they're more sophisticated in their wine makings in the U.S. for the most part. This is a company called Hussein. Okay, but don't get hung up on the brand so much. I'm just trying to show you this particular one. This is 100% Cabernet Sauvignon. They're not always 100%, guys. Sometimes the Cabernet Sauvignon didn't come in for what they thought it was going to be. The harvest just wasn't exciting. It wasn't dynamic. It wasn't fabulous. They had to blend it with a Syrah or a Merlot or a Petite Syrah. Because but if the main part of it is Cabernet Sauvignon, that's all they have to put on the label. They do not have to tell you anything else. That's where your homework comes in. That's where you Google and ask questions to wine professionals or call the company and ask questions. I only like the ones that are 100%. I do not like being cheated and being told something is something and it's really blended with a lot of other things that I didn't ask for or wish to pay for. Does that make sense to anybody? But this is 100% one. This wine is 2015, so it's got a few years on it. It's definitely ready to go. I just haven't drank it yet. And I believe it was about $20. So I'm not trying to break anybody tonight by what I show you, around $20, but be willing to pay more than that for a Cabernet Sauvignon, everybody. It is the holidays, and sometimes that does involve a little bit more spending. But if you see a 2015 and it's $25, $30, you're getting a good deal on that for the most part, okay? Because that wine has some age to it now, and it does have a cork, so it is a cellar just like this. The reason so that the wine is engaged with the cork, that way the cork doesn't dry out. Removing a dried out cork is not pretty, okay? It's not pleasant. You're more than likely going to struggle and be very irritated by the time you're finished with the whole process. So if you can store them like that, please do so. And it's cool to the touch, okay? A Cabernet Sauvignon is served at room temperature. But a room was a lot cooler when that rule was made up, probably a couple hundred years ago. So if you want to put your glass in the refrigerator and chill it for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, that's terrific, you know. But if you have your glass and you're going to chill it, everybody, be smart about that, okay? Wrap your glass with some saran wrap or cellophane so that you don't get refrigerator taste in that. You don't want to taste refrigerator in a wine you just spent $30, $35 on, okay? Or put it in a brown paper bag to do that with. So that you're not picking up refrigerator taste. That makes sense, everybody? And smell your wine. If you're drinking a Cabernet Sauvignon, how dare you gulp that down without smelling that? A beautiful Cabernet Sauvignon has the most incredible noses to them ever. It's a pleasure to smell a Cabernet Sauvignon that has a few years and that you paid a few dollars for. You're going to pick up the sage, the leather. And when I say leather, have you ever smelled a leather coat that was in the closet over the full year, the full season? Don't you love that smell? That's so seductive. You're going to pick up a little smoke, maybe just a little bit of cigar smoke on that. You're going to pick up like dried mulberries, currant, blackberries for sure. And it's a beautiful nose to smell a Cabernet Sauvignon. So take your time with that. You smell that oak. And when you taste it, you taste the oak. If it's too cheap, you won't. When it's a nice Cabernet Sauvignon, it's one of the most pleasurable things ever. You'll never be sorry you invested in a fine wine, everybody. I promise you. It'll go back into your Rolodex. Wow, I remember when I had that. Wow, right? And if you drink some great wines over the holiday, email me and tell me what you're drinking. Tell me how it went. But any questions about a Cabernet Sauvignon? Okay, we'll move on. So as you notice, as I drink the water to hydrate myself, as I talk, I'm only drinking from one point in the glass. If you're like me and you wear makeup, and I always wear makeup when I'm in public and plenty of it, I only drink, and you should only drink, girls, from one point of the glass. You don't want lipstick all around the glass like that. It looks clumsy. It isn't classy. And it's very difficult for the person washing those glasses to wash it off. You don't want to burden that poor guy in the back who's making $10 an hour on his feet for 8 hours a day trying to get your lipstick off. And if you're at a person's house, you really don't want to go that route. So be careful. You only drink from one point. I'm only drinking from this point. And if I don't have it with me, and I can't stand up now, but I usually have a napkin, and I just gently, discreetly wipe a little bit of that off as I go along in the evening, okay? And before I turn the glass into a host who was gracious enough to have me in their home, or a restaurant that I'm trying to look, nice in and present my best self, I don't want them to have to struggle with my lipstick. So just a little bit of that wiping off goes a long way That's part of your wine etiquette. Wine etiquette is very much lacking. I see it all the time, and it's a little bit discouraging to have to keep watching. So let's watch our manners when we're at people's house this Thanksgiving, when we're out in public, especially as girls. I love to be at my best always, and I love putting out my best always. And I imagine you all are very much like that as well. But yeah, careful with the lipstick, everybody. Any questions so far? Is anybody having anything special they want me to help pair with this Thanksgiving or Christmas Eve? Shout it out. I'll be happy to talk about it. If not, we will move on to, well, dessert wines.
And it's easier for anybody if you just want to unmute yourself and just talk, that's fine. Okay, we've got one question. Perhaps a wine to go with a breakfast brunch. And what would you
isn't
pair
that lovely?
Malbec with?
Sparkling, 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 sparkling. It can be champagne if you want to spend the money. Champagne also comes in half bottles. I didn't bring one out to show you, but I think I had it in my last class with Kevin. Champagne comes in half bottles as well, which is half the price. If you're having guests, this Blanc de Blanc would be amazing at brunch. A sparkling rosé would be amazing. Cava, we didn't talk about Cava. Cava is from Spain. It's their version of a champagne. It's made the exact same way. The champenoise method traditional, they're always overlooked. I almost feel sorry for the Cava. They're overlooked and they're amazing, and they're around $10, $12 at any given day of the week. Freshenet makes a beautiful one in a Cordon Negro black frosted bottle. I think they're around $12. I'm not sure what all stores you have in Kentucky. I'm in Ohio, as you all know, but Kroger is usually in Kentucky, I think. They would more than likely have it. Go to a wine shop, they would have it as well. You can also make a mimosa. Use a good quality orange juice, organic if you can, with your sparkling white wine. It does not have ice in it. The application for mimosa does not have ice. Now, if that's where you want to go, you go for it, but it will dull down the taste. I'm also a trained bartender, by the way, everybody. But yeah, any type of sparkling wine is known for brunch. The Cava is made of 3 grapes, and I can't think of them right now. One is the Paradella. The other one, I believe, is a Chardonnay. And I think the third one is a Zarello grape. But yeah, get your Cavas, everybody. They're beautiful. And if you don't want to spend $60, $70 on a true original champagne, I get it. Then go with the Cava. Serve them sparkling. They're stunningly beautiful. They smell like toast and brioche bread. They have that yeasty smell and that's incredible. Green apple is on them as well. And like I said, they're around $12. They come in a rosé, they come in a regular brut, and they also come sweet. Okay, did that answer your question? Okay.
And there was another question. What would you pair Malbec with?
I didn't hear you. Speak up, please.
Oh, what would you pair Malbec with?
Malbec?
Malbec.
For some reason, I didn't hear you. I apologize.
Okay. Malbec. I might be pronouncing that wrong.
From Argentina. Yeah, it's a very bold red wine. Lots of cigar smoke on that. Leather, absolutely dried fruit, dark fruits like the black cherries
what would you pair it
and
with, though?
The mulberries. They're very strong. I appreciate them, but I don't drink a lot of them. They are very, very strong. Remind me of a cigar. Yeah, they're very affordable. The best ones are from Mendoza, Argentina. They are from France as well, because that's where the grape is originally from. It's one of the noble grapes of France. So the Malbec is from France originally, but the best ones I think are from Mendoza, Argentina. They're reasonably priced. They're not really expensive. They definitely will go well with that meatloaf. Let it breathe. Do not start drinking that wine down like it's tap water, everybody. I beg you, please, we got to stop doing that. You have to swirl the wine in the glass, especially a Malbec. You want to let that wine swirl. This is a white wine glass, but you can drink red wine out of it. There's no law on that. You want to swirl it around, let it get some air, let it get some air, let it get some air. Then you go ahead and you start drinking the wine. It will open up. It opens up when it gets air in it, please. That's the best way to drink a Malbec. You can also put it in a marinade with a little bit of venison if you're going that route. They certainly, Malbecs pair beautiful with that meatloaf. Like I said, if you're only spending 15, 20 bucks on a meal, for the meat part, I mean, you're making a really nice meatloaf. There's nothing wrong with that. I applaud people who stick within their budget, who are reasonable people, because that holiday is for a short time span. You have to live the rest of the year, and the credit card bills are not going to be Merry Christmas for most of us. So, hey, there's nothing wrong with making a meatloaf for the holidays. But yeah, red meat definitely it pairs well with that prime rib. Like I said, if you're making a venison, I think you have to marinate though, because otherwise it's pretty gamey, isn't it? You can definitely put a little bit of that Malbec in the marinade and flavor up that meat, get rid of some of that gaminess. Did that answer your question okay?
No response.
Any other questions,
Oh, yes,
anybody?
thank you. So yes. Okay, can
Okay,
you
awesome.
recommend
Thanks for asking.
can you recommend a nice, reasonable Merlot?
Oh, I love Merlot. Let's talk about Merlot. So here's the thing about Merlot. This just was an issue over the past few years. So a lot of people stopped drinking Merlot because of some poorly directed movie that wasn't very good in the first place. And that was very foolish to me because Merlots are beautiful. They're a little bit milder, a little bit tamer than a Cabernet Sauvignon. They're also less expensive. They're also one of the noble grapes of France. Make sure that's 100% Merlot. I know, right? You have to make sure of that because you can purchase them and it says Merlot. But when you get into the configurations of this wine, it's only maybe 50% Merlot and part Cab and part Petit Syrah, part Syrah. That's not okay with me, but if it's okay with you, go for it. I don't suggest it because you need to know what a Merlot tastes like on the dime. You shouldn't have to say, is this a Merlot? Was this? You should know because it has that cocoa powder taste. It smells like cocoa powder. Beautiful, beautiful cherry. Has a nice acidity to it. Lots of chocolate, dark chocolate. It's a beautiful wine. Santa Emma makes a beautiful Merlot. This company here, oh, that I showed you, just a minute, everybody, I lost myself. This company here also makes a Merlot, but I believe it's only 99% Merlot. You'll have to check. But this, they make a Merlot as well. Merlot is delicious with any type of Italian food. It's delicious with meatballs. It's delicious with pizza, meatloaf, whether it's a turkey meatloaf or a ground beef meatloaf. I want to throw that in there. It pairs well with any type of red meat you want to put into it, okay? Absolutely delicious. If you're making pork chops can work with a Merlot as well as that Pinot Noir. Did that answer your question?
She said, great, thanks. So yes.
Okay, terrific. So let's move on to dessert, right? Now, I will tell you, I'm someone who watches what I put in my mouth for calorie reasons, but it's all hands off deck for this Thanksgiving and Christmas. I happen to also be a chocolate connoisseur. I love, 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 love chocolate. And maybe next holiday, me and Kevin can do a chocolate and wine pairing. But I love chocolate. I love desserts. I love apple pie, whether it has a crumb or whether it's just a plain lattice work on it. Pumpkin pie with an obscene amount of vanilla ice cream. Chocolates, I love the dark, the milk, the original white chocolate. It's real chocolate, though, the one with cocoa butter, not that fake stark white chocolate. And I do love dessert. So when it comes to dessert wines, you can have dessert wines with dessert or just have it as the dessert. Either way. So let's talk about late harvest wines first. There is a late harvest Malbec. The person who asked that question, a company called Susana Balba, that's the winemaker, one of the first winemakers in Argentina that happens to be a woman. Her name is Susana Balba. She has a late harvest Malbec, and it's sweet. It's rich and heavy like a Malbec, but it's sweet because it's been left on the vine for a lot longer than what's necessary. And it's a late harvest, and I believe it's in a 500 milliliter bottle, not a full bottle, a 500 milliliter bottle. And I didn't purchase it, but I actually have not done a lot with it, but I'd like to learn more about it. But if you're adventurous, and I hope you are, consider trying that late harvest Malbec. So I have a late harvest wine here with me from Susanna Balba. It's a 500 milliliter bottle. It's not a half bottle, everybody. It's larger than that, contains more wine than that half bottle. It's 500, not 375. This is a late harvest Torrontés. It is from Argentina. So Torrontés is somewhat of a spicy white wine, spicy white grape. Well, this wine has been left on the vine longer than what you would normally have, which makes it shrivel up and become sweet. Now, it isn't an ice wine. It isn't that sweet, but it is sweet enough to go with dessert or just be dessert on its own. I believe this wine, I've had it for a couple of years now. I believe it was around $20, $22. It definitely isn't, it's a late harvest. Do you see it, everybody? Okay, so that's a company called Susanna Balba. This wine is super yummy. It's delicious with pound cake, maybe with a little strawberries and whipped cream, or just lemon pound cake. It's good with ice cream. If you go that route, you can actually pour a little bit over it, some vanilla ice cream, because it's sweet enough to get away with that. It's a lot of things you can do with a dessert wine. You can also, as I said, you can just drink it, but they go with desserts well. I happen to love blueberry muffins with lots of real blueberries and that crumb topping with the nuts in it. Oh my gosh. I love apple crisp. We all probably grew up on that, those of us that are over a certain age. But this would go beautiful with everything I've just mentioned. Oh my gosh, absolutely. Any questions before I continue on with dessert wines, everybody? So there's also the ice wine. I'm sure we're all familiar with them. They are made from frozen grapes. Now, don't be tricked. There's also a wine called ice wine, iced, I-C-E-D. They put a D on it because the grapes were chemically frozen. They weren't frozen on the vine, so they legally cannot be called an iced wine. It's just an ice wine. It's called iced. You'll see the D on the end, not ice wine. Those grapes were frozen post-harvest. They harvest the grapes and then froze them. That's not the legalization of an ice wine. I've had them before. For some reason, they're not quite as delicious. Just not quite as delicious. So be careful when you purchase something, everybody. Read the label carefully. Okay, so an original ice wine, the better ones are from Canada. Let's just be honest, they are delicious. They're normally made from a Vidal Blanc grape. The reason for that is the Vidal Blanc grape does produce a very nice sweet wine, but it has a lift to it. When I use the term lift, I'm talking about a little bit of acidity that takes you from the sweet up here a little bit. So you're not just slathering your mouth down with all that sugary, residual sugary taste. You're also getting a little bit of acidity to cut that sweet so that the wine has another level to it, okay? It's important that when a wine is sweet like that, that it has another level to it. So the ice wines in the States have to stay frozen at 17 degrees or lower for 3 consecutive days in a row. So these people that are making these wines, God bless them, they're out there before they've even had a scrambled egg or a cup of coffee, and they're picking these wines often in the dark. The grapes. They're picking these grapes often in the dark because they need to have picked at that 17-degree temperature or lower. That's a lot to ask of someone. So the bottles are small. They're usually around that 500 milliliter size, and they're around $45, $50 per bottle. So FYI. There are a couple from Ohio called Ferrante. They make a really nice ice wine as well. It has that lift to it that is very, very nice. Any questions before we continue on with our dessert wines, everybody?
We do have what do you think about Tokaji wine? Tokaij?
Tokaji, yeah, it is a wine from Hungary. They are very, very nice. Thanks for bringing that up. Yes, they are lovely. They have an acidity lift to it. So you're not just getting sweet, you're getting the acid that brings down that sugary level a little bit. They are lovely. They are also in a 500 milliliter bottle. They're around $25. I'm not sure every place you all have to shop in Kentucky, but if you find one, buy it. They're very, very nice. And they do pair beautiful with almost any dessert, especially peach pie, peach cobbler. They do really well with peach type dishes. It can also be drank as just the dessert itself because it is sweet. It isn't like an ice wine, like, it isn't like that, but it is sweet. And it is a dessert wine, and they are lovely. So yeah, if you get a chance to try them, please do. They're very, very nice, and they make lovely, lovely gifts. I have another dessert wine here that's in a half bottle. I do like the half bottles. This is Panito, okay? This is from Italy. It's a little bit on the sparkling side, okay? And it is a DOCG, which is their highest quality level of wine in Italy. As you can probably see that there, you can see that classification on the neck of the bottle. Okay, this is a red wine, everybody. It sure is, and it is sweet. It isn't cloyingly sweet, but it is sweet enough to be a dessert wine for sure. And it is made up of only one grape, and it is made up of that Prosciutto grape. Okay, and it is red, and they are absolutely delicious. So if you're having, let's just say, brownies, fudge, anything chocolatey like that, or even chocolate itself, you're serving it or just sitting by the fireplace or watching some old Bells of St. Mary, The Grinch That Stole Christmas, having a little fun by yourself or with your lover, then you can open up a half bottle like that with your brownies or dark chocolate. It doesn't have to be expensive chocolate. It can be, organic Hershey's. If you haven't tried the organic Hershey's bar, everybody, you've got to try it. It tastes nothing like the original Hershey bar. They're around, I think a regular Hershey bar is $1. This one is probably about $2 or close to it. They're amazing. They melt right on your tongue. It's nothing like a regular Hershey bar. So try those. But this would pair well with an old-fashioned organic Hershey bar or a regular Hershey bar. This half bottle, I believe, was around $10, $11 for the half bottle. And I believe it does come in a full bottle. I'm pretty sure it does. Again, it's just good to have options. Don't you all agree? Makes a nice stocking stuffer because it's only a wee bottle, right? It's super, super small. And I do like the label on this. Kevin may think it's too plain because he likes those fancy bottles, but this is a really nice wine. So if you see this, everybody on the market, don't hesitate to give it a try. Okay, it is from Italy. It's spelled Pineto. And I'm pretty sure I paid around $10, $11 for the half bottle. And I'm very excited about it. And I am going to have it probably with some fudge during the holiday, or maybe with some chocolate covered cookies. Yummy, right? But yeah, definitely put some energy into your dessert wines. Let's talk about fruit wines a little bit. We only have a few more minutes. Fruit wines are made usually of 100% of that fruit. St. James makes a beautiful line of fruit wines, except for the peach one. The peach one tastes exactly like the liquid in a can of clean peaches. It's not very pleasant. I don't suggest it, but it's good to experiment if that's where you are. It tastes very artificial, and the consistency is like that of liquid of a clean peach. So, but the other ones, I think there's a blackberry, a raspberry, a strawberry, but OMG, the cherry. The cherry fruit wine from a company called St. James, and they're found almost at every store. And they're not expensive. I haven't bought one in a while, but I believe them to be around that $12 per bottle price point. It is amazing. If you're having let's say you're just doing something simple. Maybe you're just having strawberry gelatin with some fresh fruit in it, a little bit of Cool Whip. Again, everyone's not spending a ton of money at the holidays. I admire people like that. You would put that cherry St. James dessert wine with that, and I'm telling you, you are in the money. People will never stop talking about that pairing. It is such a nice pairing. You also may want to have maybe like something fancy, like a cherries jubilee, where you light it and so forth and so on. That's lovely as well. But there's a lot of ways to pair those beautiful fruit wines from St. James. I'm sure you all have saw them on the shelves. If you haven't, you probably will now, since we're so close to, the holiday season, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, Christmas, and the New Year. But the fruit wines are made from 100% of that fruit. You may have a few in there that, threw a Mickey in on you and cheat a little bit. The label won't say so for the most part. It will just say whatever the large amount is. Cranberry wine. There are some beautiful ones on the market. There's a really nice one you can order from Maine, because I think that's where the cranberry bogs are. The cranberry wines have a decent amount of alcohol. I was kind of surprised at, but I love them. I love the color of them. They're that shockingly beautiful Christmas red. They taste exactly like cranberries with all that nice acidity on it. So again, that lift, you'll get the sweet cranberry wine, but you're going to get the lift of it as well. But a nice cranberry wine is absolutely delicious. Oh, and there's a blueberry wine by St. James as well. I'm shouting out this brand because we live in different states, and so I know that to be a national brand that's easily found, if that makes sense. Any questions, everybody? Anyone at all? No questions? Okay. Well, I hope that helped everyone to pair up your beautiful meals this holiday season. I will be thinking of everybody having a beautiful Thanksgiving and a marvelous Hanukkah, a great Christmas, and the New Year is going to be amazing. 2022, everybody. So make sure you celebrate yourself, your lives, your families, and, well, wine.
And thank you for being here, Wanda. I hope we can get you back sometime next year. And yeah, happy holidays, everybody, whatever that means for everybody.
Whatever that means to you, everybody. Happy holidays. Cheers.
And have a good evening, everyone. We're going to be wrapping this up, and have a good night.